Okay, good morning, everybody. I'm going to turn the music down. Give me a second. Hey there, everybody. Welcome to the show. I'm assuming you can hear me because that monitor is saying that you can hear me. Right? Okay, you can. Now, happy Monday. I am not quite out of the weeds as far as the stupid 19, but at least as far as the quarantine part goes. But I am back. And I gotta tell you, I opened up the old excuse me, I'm still coughing. Opened up the old Twitter machine this morning to get caught up on some news, and well, an old friend was trending. Well, I wouldn't say a friend because I don't know the kid from Adam, but the myths about the kid will not go away. Yes, the guy who took a submachine gun across state lines 4 hours from home and mowed down a bunch of black kids at a Black Lives Matter protest. Yes, Kyle Rittenhouse is in the news, or at least in the trending section again, and I just rolled my eyes. We'll talk about that and a few other things. We'll do our best. I don't know why I do this. But like I said, I'm going to do my best to get through this show. But there's other news that isn't so bad. I won't feel like I have to strangle somebody when I read tweets about it, even if it's stupid. But the way there's a lot of stupid out there. Why am I taking so long for this particular intro? I don't know. Maybe because I'm still posting my notifications on the various social media outlets, you know, like Minds and Gab and CloudHub and Parler and Getter. Still don't have that Truth Social account, though. I wonder if I should open one. Do you think I should open a Truth Social account? You know, it would be helpful to do that just to follow the guy with the funny hair, because he's entertaining, but it's like, it's not like you don't see all of his posts anyway. On all the other social media, they pretty much post him everywhere, even if he can't do it himself. I don't know. I guess we'll just have to figure it out. But for now, let's start the show. Johnny, play the intro.
Ladies and gentlemen, coming to you live from the Lucky Dog Studio in a hidden location somewhere in the upper Midwest of the United States of America, it's a brother making his own way, but with all the wrong opinions. Welcome to the Morning Night Live with your host, yours truly, P. Dog Night.
Ah, yes. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, it's time to stop the music. Good morning. It's me. Welcome to the Morning Night Live. I'm your host, Marty, also known as P-Dog Night on the internet. Welcome back to the P-Dog Night channel. I don't know why this is so low. This is weird. Usually, was the mic just too far away? I don't know. It's hard to tell. I'm just not getting the optimum volume out of this. That's weird. What the hell's going on? I don't know. It doesn't matter. I'll just talk louder. Welcome to the Morning Night Live. I'm your host, Marty, also known as P-Dog Night on the internet. Welcome back to the P-Dog Night channel, where quarantine for myself is almost over, but the quarantine for Lady Boomer is just starting because, I got a lot of color saturation there. I just noticed that. So now, Lady Boomer is going to be home for a few extra days, although she's been home this whole time because for her job, she's required to stay home when she's exposed to the stupid 19. I need to adjust this. Where's the video capture device? Here, let me see if I can adjust this. That's weird. Well, it's just I'm very colorful today. I look very, what's the word? I look very, just colorful. Let's see if we can turn some of this down. Holy crap. Yeah, Lady Boomer is now also enjoying the benefits of Stupid 19. Yeah, that's a little better. I'll just leave it like that for now. It's okay. And not only Lady Boomer. Now, this is completely unrelated. Well, it's related because it's one of our offspring. But now my daughter, her husband, and the baby all have Stupid 19. So they're home sick. Fortunately, it's at a time when he's in between jobs. But because he's started a new job on September 1st, so he just because he got a new job in another hospital. But I worry about them. I hope they're fine. I am, but I you know what, I feel pretty good. I never really got any fever. This is a really mild, but this felt like a really bad cold. It wasn't even the first time I had it. I had fever and I was achy and all this stuff. And this one it was just a bad cold. I coughed a lot and I sneezed here and there, but honestly, it was just like like I said, it was a bad cold. And in fact, it's weird because the first time I don't remember, I was coughed a lot, but I don't remember having a lot of like, if you don't like talking about bodily functions, you might want to plug your ears. I didn't have a lot of phlegm, I wasn't hacking up crap. I was just coughing a lot. But I had to do this time. That's why I say it's so much more like a cold. But, and I think part of my, like, I'm a little bit weak, but that's just because I'm sitting around doing nothing. We'd planned to go to my wife's cousin's house this weekend. And we were going to go out in the boat and go fishing and go to Wienerpalooza, the meat raffle at this bar that they do every year. And so we had planned on having the dog kenneled this weekend. And since we already paid for it, we just said, he needs to do it because he's going to have to do it when we go for 10 days in September. And so we figured, let's get him to try out this new kennel that we're going to take him to and see if he likes it, which he had a blast. He came out with his tail wagging. He was all wet. And I'm like, this dog never goes in water. But so we left him at the kennel and just Lady Boomer and I chilled, watched. We finished off the series Peaky Blinders, which we had just started watching a few weeks ago. And it's like we just binge watched Peaky Blinders for 4 days. And that was pretty much it. So, but I don't feel bad, but I'm just required to stay off work for one more day, which is killing us now because now we're both off for over a week and we're supposed to go on a vacation in September. So it's not good timing financially, but we'll, whatever. We'll get through it. And it is what it is. So anyway, let's say good morning to everybody and let's get started with the news because what I saw this morning just made me, it just makes me shake my head at so many people so entrenched in an idea. But before I do anything else, before I even say hi to everybody, I have a short video to show you that makes me very happy. That, I'm going to let you see it yourself. I'm just going to show you. I'm not even going to explain it. I'm not going to explain it. I'm just going to show it to you. Let me make sure stop. Don't play yet. Okay, good. Let me show you this video. This video makes me very happy.
That way it's doing this. This is. Okay, we did that like that, and then we come over here. Wait a minute, I gotta get.
Yay!
Yay!
Maddie's cancer treatment is done. Yay! All right, so congratulations to Maddie. Maddie's in the chat. Everyone say congratulations to Maddie. That's fantastic. I'm very happy for you, my friend. So, all right, so anyway, let's say good morning to everybody. And in fact, first in the chat today, guess who else? You know what? It must be Maddie's bell day because Maddie was first, so she also gets the bell here too. Welcome. Also, good morning to Ty Alexander, Simon Wolfwood, Avocado Seattle, the Devil's Advocate, Chicago Mike, Renee Mayette, Jaeger Pony, my favorite Canadian, Mike Savage, Blarg. Selected Boys in the house.
Yeah,
Jay Pylon's
boy.
here. Nice to see you. Also, good morning too. Oh, you're already there. Nomads in the house.
Hammer time.
Also, good morning to who's here? Oh, Miss Winnie. Welcome back. Nice to see you. Also, Somnambule Nation, Infamous One, Crack Shot 322. Good to see you. Straight Sith Male, Special Can Acid, Jimmy Das, Hotep. Good morning, sir. Sean DW. Is that everybody? Describe Light, Dog Thrapple. And Rick Ashenberger, Retro Veteran Gamer. A lot of people showing up. Nice to see you guys. Thanks for being here. I really appreciate it. So anyway, so let's just get in this. I want to talk about what's trending on Twitter today. And it's like people have clung to this. And I look, this is one that I can blame squarely on the media because of how they covered this. And it's not unusual because there's several cases where the media tends to get into they get their narrative going, right? And they cannot let go of narrative no matter what facts are put in front of them. Good morning, Eddie Haskell. How you doing? And no, the P does not stand for phlegm. Somnambule Nation. Oh my gosh, that's funny. Notice I'm going to be talking a little slower because I still have a little bit of a cough in my throat. But I do have the cup from Trail Stop. We haven't been to Trail Stop in a long time. Pretty much the whole summer. We've been doing stuff every weekend. I miss our friend Matt. Anyway. Oh, and Big Dro's in the house, and Green Badger Outdoors in the house. Nice to see you guys. So, I opened up Twitter this morning, and I think it was trending number 3 when I opened this up. You know, and when you see trending topics on Twitter, usually on Mondays, Monday morning is trending. You know, it's one of those things that always trends every Monday. Monday motivate. Here it is. See, here it is. Monday motivation. Look at Twitter. There's Monday motivation. And I don't know what Drodecast is or Ape. Apparently, AMC stock plunges ahead of Ape debuts, Cineworld troubles, whatever. But Kyle Rittenhouse was trending number 3 this morning. And anytime Kyle Rittenhouse trends, I have to resist the temptation to go through and correct every idiot who tweets about Kyle Rittenhouse. Because almost all the people who tweet about Kyle Rittenhouse don't know jack about Kyle Rittenhouse. They know the myths. There are so many myths. So many myths. Hello, Zach Osborne. How you doing, brother? Is the logo on that shirt a ghost using a cane? No, it's a chapel. It's a little church. Because it's Chapel Brewing Company. It's not a ghost using a cane. The media created this myth of Kyle Rittenhouse, and mostly pundits, because they all were saying, oh yeah, he was at a Black Lives Matter rally, right? Well, it wasn't really a Black Lives, it was a riot after people were protesting someone who got shot. Oh, Anna's not really the problem here. Anna's completely on a different subject, but you mentioned Kyle Rittenhouse, and it's not Anna. So I see Anna on the screen, but that's not really what it is. But he was he was there protecting businesses like hundreds of other people there protecting business. They make it sound like the only people out in Kenosha, Wisconsin that night were the guys in front of these car dealerships, right? And they keep calling, oh, people call them a militia. It wasn't a militia. These guys were not even, they were just people who, that somebody knew them, right? So anyway, you get so many tweets of just complete and utter nonsense for people who didn't watch the trial. Now, I watched the entire Kyle Rittenhouse trial. I watched the entire trial from start to finish every day. I watched it. If I didn't watch it live, I went back and I would put with the trial on, watch it at 1.5 times speed, and I watched every minute of that trial. Every minute. And the conclusion that the jury came to, that he was not guilty, which they didn't say why he was not guilty, but it was clearly self-defense because of the video evidence during the trial, and that the fact that Bringer, the jackass prosecutor, couldn't convince the jury that he was out there to just wanted to shoot people, because it was clearly, from the video evidence, self-defense. The witnesses even the prosecution had were better for Kyle Rittenhouse than Kyle Rittenhouse's own witnesses. Kyle Rittenhouse probably shouldn't have taken the stand, but he did. And he, I'm sorry, I lost my train of thought because I had the text I just got from my daughter. Whether Kyle was not in his own state was irrelevant. The cross the state line myth, irrelevant. He was 11 miles from home, basically one town over. Because there's a state line there means nothing. The gun he had, was it possessed legally, is determined during the case, basically looking at the law, and even the prosecutor ended up having to concede that he was possessed the gun legally, that he was attacked, that he was shot in self-defense, he was attacked a second time, he attacked a third time. Wait, actually, he was attacked a second time, shot in self-defense, attacked a third time, or no, he didn't shoot the first time. He took a shot, but missed. Then another guy came in, attacked him with a skateboard, shot him. The third guy came in to attack him. He pointed the gun. The guy stopped, ran away. Kyle didn't shoot. And then the fourth guy pointed a gun at him, and he shot in self-defense. Then he ran. And he went and turned himself in. Against even the wishes of some of his friends. He turned himself in when he got to his home because the police it was too much of a chaos there for the police to do anything. If you watched the trial of Kyle Rittenhouse, you would understand why he was determined not guilty by a jury. There were now the media tried to make it like the judge was in favor of one side or the other, and the media tried to make it sound like, this was stacked against him and these juries were racist and Kyle Rittenhouse racist. None of that mattered. The video evidence alone would have told you that he was innocent. But we get people tweeting things like, now it's interesting because now when I was looking at this morning, the top tweets were ones against Kyle Rittenhouse, but some now are trending for him. Kyle Rittenhouse, here's one, someone named Kate. Kyle Rittenhouse claims to be suing Joe Biden because he defamed his character by calling him a white supremacist. Who thinks Kyle Rittenhouse defamed his own character by being a white supremacist murderer? Well, not a murderer. Not in the legal sense, and not in the sense that if you saw the trial and you saw the video evidence, you would know Kyle only shot when he was attacked. He was the only one in that. There's hundreds of people around there with weapons, AR-15s and pistols, all kinds of things. The only person who was attacked that night And the only reason he was the only one who shot anybody that night, because he was the only one who attacked that night, was Kyle Rittenhouse. Now, and then people want to say, oh, Kyle Rittenhouse, look at the bright side. You were armed with real police officers while unarmed blacks were killed by police with smaller guns than yours. How do you know? Oh, and then they compare him to David Koresh and whoever this, I can't know, this Hitler and Manson. Great. Yeah, that's a good comparison. You didn't watch the trial. Here's another one. Ashley is pro-choice, says Kyle Rittenhouse can't seem to get a grasp on reality. He murdered 2 people, yet somehow thinks he's the victim in this scenario, and he claims that he's being defamed by the media. Get the fuck out of here. That crybaby punk belongs in prison. Really? You didn't watch the trial. You did not watch the trial. You watched what the media said about the trial. And the worst thing is, too, is that as I watched the trial, right? And occasionally I would venture out and watch how the media was covering the trial. And it was almost embarrassing where the media, as they were covering the trial, they would only show like snippets of the prosecution asking questions and getting answers from the most favorable parts of the trial from their witnesses, and almost never would show the defense either ripping some of those things to shreds or even the defense witnesses. It was almost as though they were trying to meld public opinion, because the media, and I mean like the left-wing media mostly, I mean, which is redundant because most of it is anyway, but they really, 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 really only wanted to show one side. And yet the facts of the case were clearly on his side. You could not watch that case and go, oh, I didn't know that. You know, they made such a big deal. Like, there's still people out there. Well, I'm going to read some of these tweets because it's kind of funny how stupid these people are and how they don't have any idea what they're talking about. Kyle Rittenhouse claims the media made it hard for him to live a normal life. I think it was the fact that he senselessly killed 2 people. Retweet if you think Kyle Rittenhouse is a killer. There's a lot of people just going through and retweeting everybody on here. This is what happens when you let a murderer walk free. Wow, you didn't watch the trial. You don't know. My favorite are the ones, though, that talk about, oh, and his mom drove him there. Well, I don't know why they keep repeating some of these. Oh, no. Hotep Jesus. All praise be to St. Kyle Rittenhouse. Good morning. Oh, you just trying to get it. You just trying to get ripped on. That's hilarious. Hotep Jesus cracks me up. Hey, Chicago Mike. Hey, Jedi Ghost Bear. What's up? The left cares more about Kyle Rittenhouse defending himself than gang violence. Yeah, that's true. When Republicans consider Kyle Rittenhouse a victim after killing 2 people, but a 10-year-old girl was raped and needs an abortion is considered a villain, that's how you know it's not about being pro-life. Oh, really? Give me some examples of that. Give me examples of saying that the 10-year-old is a villain. You got to remember, hey, dipshit, you got to remember, Republicans or people on the right were immediately going, wait a minute, hold up. 10-year-old pregnant, how'd that happen? If it's true, how'd that happen? Huh? Isn't that might, there's a little problem there, isn't there? Crazy people. Here's one. Here's one of my favorites. I have serious issues getting past the Kyle Rittenhouse issue. How a 17-year-old kid can drive 25 to 50 miles, that's what I'm assuming they left out the word miles, looking for trouble. Then kill two people and he becomes a hero to Trump supporters and Republicans. I just don't get it. Okay, moron. First of all, that's just you didn't watch the trial. First of all, and then some people are in here saying, oh no, his mother drove him. His mother drove him across state lines with an AR-15. Now here's someone who's smart. Clearly you didn't watch the trial. I don't think he's a hero, but it was very clear it's a case of self-defense. I think that's more why such heightened interest in the case. Self-defense caught on video. Some saw as murder, which is legally incorrect. Oh, I did watch the trial. It was a clear case of high-priced defense attorney going against a DA who is used to going against a public defender. Stop believing our court system is fair. See, I could spend my entire day replying to these morons. Hello, Woo. Everyone say good morning to Now What? And this is Kyle. Good morning. And Jordan 250. Nice to see you. There's people that travel that far to work daily. Oh yeah. I mean, if you live in Minneapolis, or if you live in St. Paul, or you live in let's say you live in Hudson, Wisconsin. You might work in St. Paul, Minnesota, which is across state lines. If you live in Council Bluffs, Iowa, you might work in Omaha, which is across state lines. If you live in Kenosha, Wisconsin, you might work on the North Shore in Illinois, which is across state lines. Crossing state lines doesn't mean anything. This is the United States of America. Crossing state lines doesn't mean anything. And it was proven during the trial that Kyle possessed the weapon that he was possessed legally, even though he didn't bring it across state lines. Sorry about the delayed reaction there. Good morning, Richo. Thank you. I appreciate you. I am back. Yes, I am. I am back. To kill 3 black people. Yeah, there's still people who think he killed black people. But the idea that it was a clear case of a high-priced defense attorney, I'm sorry. It wasn't a high-priced defense attorney either. His team, now granted, he did probably pay them well, but it wasn't a hype. I mean, come on. You mean the guy from Wisconsin who talked like this? Hilarious. He had the facts on his side. Video evidence. Oh, now imagine the outcome of a trial where Kyle Rittenhouse is black. Now remember that same day, there was a verdict. I think it was in Georgia. A black man who shot a police officer was acquitted for self-defense because of the way the situation turned out. The man had no idea that they were police officers, and he shot in self-defense, actually shot one of the officers, and was acquitted because of self-defense. Oh, imagine it was a black man. Imagine if you were a black man, if you can fly or whatever your name is. It's just amazing that people still, I mean, and it's because they didn't watch trial, they didn't see the video evidence. Oh, because he's white, get it now? No, what about Andrew Coffey? Yeah, it was Andrew Coffey who was acquitted in Georgia the same day. Self-defense. Shot a police officer. I mean, man, that's a lot. Anyway, thank you, Chicago Mike, for sponsoring the show. First sponsor today. Whoops. I don't know why I did that. Thank you. Who says... Chicago Mike says, via YouTube Super Chat, he says, he crossed state lines. He worked in Kenosha, by the way. He was 11 miles from home. He worked at the YMCA. He spent the day cleaning up all day in Kenosha from the damage that was done from the riots the night before. He had been there all day. His father lives in Kenosha. His sister lives in Kenosha. His aunt lives in Kenosha. His grandparents live in Kenosha. This was his town. He lived part-time in Kenosha with his father. He was home where he worked. But no, he crossed state line. I mean, there was someone this morning said he drove 400 miles with an AR-15 to go see him out. Yeah, here it is. You forgot. His mother drove him there to do just, period, which I don't know what that means. Yes, it is unbelievable, isn't it? He doesn't get it, and he never will. He feels victimized. Well, he was victimized. He was chased down by a convicted pedophile. Here's one of the memes. Don't make me tap the sign. Kyle Rittenhouse was attacked, and he defended himself, which he did. Anyway, I'm not going to go talk anymore. You can go look at the stupidity under this trend today. Oh, here's one. My favorite part of self-defense is when you go out and shoot somebody, call your friends and tell them about it, then go out and shoot 2 more people. Oh, and don't forget, get some water from police in between shootings. Shut up. This clearly you spinning a trial you didn't watch. But, that's because, the media spun the trial in a way that didn't really, didn't give the facts, and it's embarrassing. It really is strange. And I would love to have anybody, now I don't think there's probably anybody on here watching this that adamantly disagrees with me, but I'm more than willing to have that conversation online, live, because the facts of the case are clear. But people are just clinging to their myths, and it's really, really embarrassing. Let's see if I've got any pushback on this. Not really. Horses against saying retweeted my tweet. I find it. I did tweet something. I find it amazing how many people still cling to the myths of the Kyle Rittenhouse case. I watched the trial, not the media coverage. The jury got it right. Of the hundreds of people that night with weapons protecting businesses, he was the only one attacked. It was self-defense. The other thing too, and when people bring out, oh yes, white supremacists out there with guns. Well, let me just look up something here on DuckDuckGo. Let's go father, daughter, protecting protesters. I want to remind you of this article from the New York Post. I'll leave this one in the tabs too. So after the aftermath of the verdict of the Kyle Rittenhouse trial, this article from the New York Post popped up, and I thought it was pointed to go through this again because it's fascinating. Hi, Jeff Overturf. Well, thank you. I am back. I'm survived, not monkeypox, unkypox. Okay? Hotep both had COVID at the same time. So we're calling it unkypox. Anyway. Kenosha, Wisconsin. Protesters upset over the acquittal of Kyle Rittenhouse marched in Kenosha on Sunday in the presence of a Second Amendment supporting father-daughter duo aimed with AR-15s. Uh-oh. That they said were to protect the demonstrators. Hold on. Watch. Now, wait a minute. Is it just me? Or do these seem like melanin gifted people? And so the quote is, We just do security for different groups. We're doing a favor for them. Eric Jordan, 50, told the Post while walking alongside his 16-year-old daughter. Wait a minute. A 16-year-old carrying an AR-15? Oh, wait. We learned during the Kyle Rittenhouse case that 16 and 17-year-olds could carry long rifles, so this is not against the law. Oh, but Kyle Rittenhouse crossed state lines and had an illegal weapon. Jordan said he's been training Jade to use firearms since she was about 4, but only let her touch a weapon once she was 14. He said they were protecting a restaurant and 2 parking lots in the area on the night Rittenhouse shot 3 people, including 2 fatally amid protests over the police conduct. Wait a minute. There were black people out there protecting businesses too? It wasn't just white supremacist militia, fucktards. There were black people out there protecting businesses too with AR-15s. Now this is the New York Post. This is after the trial, right? Even the New York Post has to go, Rittenhouse has claimed he fired in self-defense. Although, quote, I probably wouldn't have fired my weapon, Jade said. Well, Jade, you don't know if you would have fired your weapon because you weren't in the situation that he was in. And fortunately, you did not have to fire your weapon. That's fine. But if you were attacked by a maniac screaming at you, thinking that it's going to kill you, I'm assuming that your father would have trained you to shoot that asshole. Now, the father and daughter claim they are to protect the protesters. His father said her father said of the verdict, it is what it is. Well, I bet you can imagine if your daughter was in the same situation that you would have taught her to fire her weapon rather than be killed. The jury, and he said, but he continued, the jury did their job and this is America. Oh, let's just give that guy a round of applause. The Jordan said they had been invited by march organizers to protect participants who numbered about 75 in total. The demonstrators carried signs with the message such as the whole system is guilty and cops and fascists give license to kill in the USA. Well, no. The jury did their job, just like Mr. Jordan, is that his name? Yeah, that's what he said. So, wow, but there were black people out there protecting businesses. I don't think they wanted. I don't think that we were supposed to know that. All right, I got to move on from this subject because I could sit on Twitter the rest of the day and just chirp at people, but I'm not going to. Let's move on. Something else. Let's see what else was going on here. Why am I in notifications? This is supposed to be. Did I hit the wrong damn thing here? Let's see. Let me fix this. Put that back to where it was because I'm going to leave these. Okay, there's Maddie's back. Good. And then, oh, I see. Horses against Sank. That's funny. That is funny. So I'll leave the trending topics up there. I'll leave Maddie's video up there. In the tabs today, I put a link in the description in the second paragraph every show. At the end of the show, I update it to put a link to every single video, tweet, article, whatever. It's called a one-tab link. You click the link, and then it'll be a single web page with every single link to every single story we do. And I'll update that during the outro. So prepare yourself for that. So anyway, also trending today. I want to get into some other trending stuff though, and other news that was up. Good morning, Gunfox. How you doing? And Chauncey Stewart, how you doing? Of course it wasn't just white people protecting business. Well, of course not. HP Lovecraft, what's happened? Fauci resigned effective December 2022. Oh, I did not know that. We'll have to check that out. I'm sure that'll be trending here soon. Let's see. Do I have all my book? Did I do all the bookmarks? Hang on a second here. Oh my God, Rachel Levine. We'll talk about her too later. All right, there we go. Oh, there are some stuff that over the weekend that I've missed. That oh my God, there's some stupidity out there too. Should we look at some stupidity first? Maybe we should look at some total stupidity before I move on. We'll just sprinkle them in here and there. So this is a tweet by, if you're not familiar with Nina Turner. Nina Turner is a Democratic strategist. I believe she ran for Congress in Ohio. She lost her primary. She's been in a back and forth nasty battle with Jimmy Dore over the last couple of weeks because Jimmy Dore had the audacity to criticize something that she said that was completely stupid. And then Jimmy Dore was accused of being a racist. And Jimmy Dore has been one of Nina Turner's biggest promoters and fans for a long time. So the idea that she called Jimmy Dore racist is hilarious. But anyway, Nina Turner tweeted this. It's almost without comment because it's so stupid. She tweeted yesterday, FYI, student debt cancellation isn't paid for by the taxpayers. The federal government is the lender. It's costlier for the government to hold on to the debt. I'm just going to let that sink in for just a second while I take a sip of my coffee. I shall repeat. FYI, student debt cancellation isn't paid for by the taxpayers. The federal government is the lender. So well, in a sense, I suppose you could say she's right in the idea that the government just prints money to do the student loans. But at some point, it's the taxpayers who foot the bill. Now she got dragged all over the internet for this. Although there's 8,600 people who also like the tweet, which is amazing. Who funds the government? I think that would be the taxpayers. Anyway, I'm not going to comment on that anymore. I just had to show you that stupidity. The federal government is the guarantor of a loan. Where does the federal government get their money, asshole? Well, that clears up everything. I mean, the initial cost comes from selling bonds when they tax us to pay the interest. Yeah, it's. But imagine. So basically, if the idea that, first of all, and then also some people were complaining yesterday that, poor people are the one who takes out loans to go to school. Because people are saying, well, why would you cancel loans on people who are probably already you're basically subsidizing the rich or the upper middle class, the middle class, whoever, anyone who took out student loans. You're subsidizing people who already make more money than the poor. You're not helping the poor at all. Well, no, because it's the poor who take out loans to go to college. No, everyone takes out loans to go to college because they give away money like it's fucking water. Okay, and the universities will spend it like water because they know that it's an unending supply of water. They don't have to even keep their costs in line because they know the government will guarantee that they get paid. So they just keep taking. Basically, the universities have a monopoly out of the U.S. Treasury via student loans, and then they trap people into them. But still, people got to make the decision to take out the loan, and most people paid back their loans. And you know what? You could probably, if you didn't, let's see. Okay, you get out of school, right? And instead of getting a job and leasing a new car, right? you could buy a used car for cheap and pay more on your loans and pay them off faster. It's not like you're saddled with the loans forever because you have to be. You saddled on loans because you choose not to pay more than the minimum payment, and that minimum payment is designed to make you pay more money. So instead of sucking it up and maybe paying more on your loans and getting them paid off, you sit there and sit on your loans forever. Now, granted, there are people who have $100,000 in loans. Usually those are people who've gone to graduate school for things like majors ending in studies, which if you have a major ending in studies, make sure you start studying menus, because you're probably going to be working in a restaurant, not using your major that ended in studies. But still, you still have taken out loans to take that major in studies. And in fact, you might have even gotten a master's degree in studies. But unless you have a PhD in studies, you're not going to be using that degree for anything but either a DEI position at some company that's eventually going to go, what the fuck are we doing with this shit? Or you're teaching. And but still, I don't know. It's just silly to me. But Nina Turner, that's the dumbest tweet of the day. And I'm just giving her a bell for being a stupid. Thank you, GunFox61, for sponsoring the show. And GunFox61, you are
the new Streamlabs
that.
superstar sponsor.
I was trying to
of the
say that,
day.
but it said it before I did. Thank you for sponsoring the show with $4.99 via Streamlabs. Folks, do you want to see Marty's head explode and him rant? Because I got news for that to happen. Marty, fear the news. Should it be MSNBC, CNN, or NBC? GunFox, I kind of have extra time today because I don't have to be anywhere. So I may venture into that. I don't know, GunFox, you scared me. Don't do that, I'm scared. All right, let's move on. Now, someone named Leonard Leo is trending today. And this popped up. And I was like, what is Leonard Leo? So apparently, Leonard Leo is a new conservative 501c4 group run by Leonard Leo, or Leonard Leo, I don't know what that means, received $1.6 billion with a B last year, likely the biggest single political donation. Marble Freedom Trust is part of a network that backs conservative judges and voter ID, opposes abortion rights and climate rules. And it's making the rounds here. $1 million mystery gift to the inauguration traced to conservative legal action, something. So anyway, I pulled up the New York Times article on this just to give you an idea. So this is going to... Now, it's funny, though. Here's what's funny to me. They're making a big deal about this. But if you ever mention that Hungarian guy, the Hungarian who collaborated with the kind of almost rhymes with Fauci's. You get in trouble for talking about it, but he's constantly doing this dark money stuff and putting billions of his money into American politics, especially when it comes to district attorneys and shit. He's messing with our politics all the time. But no, we're going to talk about a conservative group with the $1.6 billion in donations. Oh, is that a sign of good luck? I'm not sure. 888 episodes, isn't that the sign of good luck and good fortune? I'm not sure. Maybe. I am back and more healthy than I was 5 days ago, so maybe that is good. Anyway, a low-profile Republican financier donated his company. Wait, what? Wait. Unusual $1.6 billion donation bolsters conservatives. A low-profile Republican financier donated his company to a new group run by the influential operative Leonard A. Leo. Okay, let's read this article because I want to know what this is. A new conservative nonprofit. Well, here, let me do this Streamlabs first. Thank you, GunFox61 again, who says, well, Marty, if the government did not back college loans, all the useless degrees and classes would be dropped. Plus, how are all those worthless woke welfare rats going to afford to party at college getting a woke degree? Remember, equity. Yes, thank you, GunFox. Yeah, and it's, it's funny because you spend millions. They get these student loans. College are taking in millions of dollars. Their tuition, the inflation in college tuitions, compared to everything else. I mean, it's like hundreds of times worse than normal inflation and the cost of college. And yet, these colleges take in millions of loan money and build, these student centers with bowling alleys and little corner bars and shit like that. And some schools have water parks and all this stuff. And it's like, yeah, this is great, but aren't you here to learn some shit? I mean, come on. And also and then you get forced to learn some useless shit. I mean, most people go to college so they can get better jobs, they can learn something useful to their lives, but then you go take a class like, you have to be forced to take a gender studies class or some shit. It's like, come on. How about, college would make more sense if I wanted to go, for example, to get a degree in accounting. I go to school, take accounting classes, and then I leave, right? It's like, if I'm going to school for something specific, and the classes that are actually functional to something that you do in life, which you're actually going to learn when you go to your whatever company you work for anyway. Most jobs you learn at their place where you work anyway, and you just get the basics at college. But if you only had to pay for the classes that helped you do something, like for example, my son is a computer engineer, right? He's a software engineer. But he was forced to take classes because apparently you have to be a well-rounded person coming out of college. So they make you take all these other classes that have nothing to do with code and engineering. But he could have probably taken a year of school and learned everything he needed for his job. And then when he got to his job, he's basically learned a whole lot more. And then he gets to his job and he finds out there's people who didn't even go to college doing his job. Now, he's very, very good at his job, and he's been promoted a couple times, and, good for him. But the idea that he went to 4 years in school. Now, he was also an athlete, whatever, and he had an academic scholarship, and so we didn't have to pay as much as everybody else. But, boy, it's amazing how they just waste your money all on student loans. And now they want to forgive it? Are you kidding me? Gosh, Raxiona, what's up, my brother? Yes, I am back. Thank you very much. Welcome to the show. All right, let's go to this article about this. This is interesting because they, of course, the New York Times is going to, because whenever the main media, the mostly left, Democrat mouthpiece media, whenever they complain about dark money, or they complain about how, the Republicans and right are financing campaigns and using all this dark money, they only talk about the dark money on the right. They talk about Citizens United, right? You hear about Citizens United and they say, oh, the corporations are not, are people too. You know who the corporations spend more money on when it's between Democrats and Republicans? Democrats, by far. It's not even close. And yet, they complain about Citizens United. Well, we need to repeal Citizens United. If you repealed Citizens United, Nancy Pelosi would be in a world of shit. Sorry, I hate to break it to you. Anyway, let's read this. A new conservative nonprofit group scored a $1.6 billion windfall last year via a little-known donor, an extraordinary sum that could give Republicans and their causes a huge financial boost ahead of the midterms and for years to come. The source of the money was Barry Seed, an electronics manufacturer mogul, and the donation is among the largest, if not the largest, single contributions ever made to a politically focused nonprofit. So it's a politically focused nonprofit. The beneficiary is a new political group controlled by Leonard A. Leo, an activist who has used his connections to Republican donors and politicians to help engineer the conservative dominance of the Supreme Court and to finance battles over abortion rights, voting rules, and climate change policy. This windfall will help cement Mr. Leo's status as a kingmaker in the conservative big money politics. It could also give conservatives an advantage in a type of difficult-to-trace spending that shapes elections and political fights. See, I told you. They're trying to make this out as though only conservatives get this dark money. The cash infusion was arranged through an unusual series of transactions that appear to have avoided tax liabilities. Oh, they're avoiding taxes. Gee, I can't imagine anyone giving money to Democrats avoiding taxes. I can't believe it. I can't believe anyone on the other side of the aisle would do that. Ever. Never, ever, ever. It originated with Mr. Seed, a longtime conservative donor who made a fortune as the chairman and chief executive of an electrical device manufacturing company in Chicago known as Trip Light. Rather than merely giving cash, Mr. Seed donated 100% of the shares of Trip Light to Mr. Leo's nonprofit group before the company was sold to an Irish conglomerate for $1.65 billion with a B dollars, according to tax records provided to the New York Times, corporate filings, and a person with knowledge of the matter. One of those persons with knowledge of the matter. Those are always my favorite. The nonprofit, called the Marble Freedom Trust, then received all of the proceeds from the sale in a transaction that appeared to have been structured to allow the nonprofit group and Mr. Seed to avoid paying taxes on the proceeds. Well done, sir. Well done. Yes, whenever you can avoid paying taxes, you shall avoid paying taxes by avoiding paying those taxes. Epic. For perspective, the $1.6 billion that the Marble Trust reaped from the sale is slightly more than the total of $1.5 billion spent in 2020 by 15 of the most politically active nonprofit groups that generally align with Democrats. Oh, they had the gumption to mention Democrats, according to an analysis by the Times. That spending, which Democrats embraced to aid the campaigns of Joseph Rahim Biden Jr. and his allies in Congress, dwarfed the roughly $900 million spent by a comparable sample of the 15 most politically active groups aligned with the Republican Party. So, see, until this particular donation, Democrats far, far, far outspent the Republicans in this area. So now the Republicans might get an advantage. So now there's going to be wailing and caterwauling all across the land. The Marble Freedom Trust could help conservatives level the playing field, if not surpass the left in such nonprofit spending, which is commonly referred to as dark money because the groups involved can raise and spend unlimited sums on politics while revealing little about where they got the money or how they spent it. Now that right there was a little bit of honesty that I'm sure the Democrats are very upset about because they clearly just said that the Democrats were spending far more dark money than the Republicans. They admitted it, but you have to really read between the lines to hear it. So anyway, there's more, but that's all I wanted to get to. It's hilarious, though. They complain about dark money when it's Republicans, even though they far surpass the Republicans' ability to raise and spend dark money. So sad, so sad. Shall we move on? Okay, what else we got here? Arkansas is trending. Now, Arkansas is trending because there's two police officers who got caught beating the crap out of a dude. Now, what's funny, now look, this is a bit disturbing. I'm just telling you right now. Some officers were beating the crap out of a assailant or somebody they were attempting to arrest, I think. And the treatment that seemed to be from the 15 or 20 second video that it appears that these officers need to go to jail. We don't know the situation 100%, but an Arkansas police officer is on administrative leave and 2 deputies are suspended pending an investigation after the video emerged showing the officers allegedly attacking a man outside a Mulberry gas station on Sunday, according to local reports. Now, the main reason you may not have heard about this case, I don't know, maybe. Here it is. It's right here. These guys, I don't know why these guys are. I don't want to show the whole thing. It's in the link, but they are beating this guy, and I don't understand it. Maybe they're trying to get him to get his hands behind his back and he refuses, but I don't know. It don't look good, and I don't know why you would kick somebody in the head and smash his head into the ground. And they're showing it over and over. I'm just not watching any more of it. But anyway, I'll open the article here because then I can just read it instead of show it because I don't want to. It's not good. 3 Arkansas officers suspended after video captures beating. 3 Arkansas law enforcement officers have been suspended. I already said that. And a state police investigation launched after a video posted on social media showed 2 of them beating a suspect while a 3rd officer held him on the ground. The officers were responding to a report of a man making threats outside a convenience store in a small town of Mulberry, about 140 miles northwest of Little Rock, near the border with Oklahoma, authorities said. The video shows one officer punching the suspect with a clenched fist, while another can be seen hitting the man with his knee. The 3rd officer holds him against the pavement. 2 Crawford County Sheriff deputies and 1 Mulberry police officer were suspended Sunday, city and county authorities said. Arkansas State Police said the agency would investigate the use of force. State Police identified the suspect as Randall Worcester of 27 of Goose Creek, South Carolina. He was taken to the hospital for treatment Sunday, then released and booked into the Van Buren County Jail on multiple charges, including second-degree battery, resisting arrest, and making terroristic threats, State Police said. Worcester, who is white.
You're fucking a white male!
According to jail bookings information, and the 3 officers involved also appear to be white. So, I think this is just some equal opportunity ass whooping by some police, and they may be in trouble for doing that. So anyway, enough of that. Let's see. Let's move on. Let's see. Now, I don't know. There are times when police use tactics if they're being resisted. I don't know. I have no idea. First mistake is going into a town named Mulberry. Well, wait, is it? Oh no, Mulberry, not Mayberry. Mulberry, Arkansas. I probably ain't gonna spend a whole lot of time in a town called Mulberry, Arkansas, unless I was stopping to get gas and maybe some barbecue. I'm just guessing that a place called Mulberry, Arkansas might have some decent barbecue. Who knows? The guy is white. That's why there's so little news beyond this. Well, surprisingly, this did make the rounds on Twitter. I saw a lot of people tweeting this. So good. I mean, the purpose of the police, and I certainly would like an explanation, but the purpose of the police is to arrest the guy if he's done some things. Maybe he, was beating up one of the officer's sisters. I don't know. Who knows? Maybe they all know each other. But no, this guy's from South Carolina, so they wouldn't know him. I don't know. I'm going to wait and see, but it doesn't look good for the officers involved. If you're on the ground, he may be biting or something like that, or holding on to one of the officers. It's impossible to know what is happening from the video. Yes, exactly. It's how long is the video even? It's like someone took the video. It was, 20 seconds before the officers even looked up. Wait a minute, what? How long is the video? This is I'll just see it's a 34-second video. You don't know anything happening before, during, or after this, so I don't know. I can't say. All right, let's move on because I'm going to try to get this done by 11:30, or 12:30 Eastern, whatever time you're at, by the 30. Let's put it that way. There's a school in Tennessee where parents are fighting back, and it's a good thing. These stories make me happy. Parents demand officials at a Tennessee all-girls school resign over now paused decision to admit males who identify as girls. Quote, "We will withhold all financial contributions to the school until this action takes place." Good for them. Last week, the Harpeth Hall School of Nashville, Tennessee, an all-girls school shot to the front page when officials said they would accept biological males who identify as females. Hello, Bishop. What's up? And all you need. It's nice to see you. School officials admitted they have been working on a transgender task force for the past 6 years. Why? Oh my God, did they consult any parents on this? The school paused the decision this past week. Quote, "Based on a response from our school community, the Harpeth Hall Board of Trustees is choosing to pause the adoption of the philosophy in order to engage a wider audience in continued discussion," the email said. As in parents got pissed off and started writing letters. Hey, Kessler, what's up? The email also repeated the school's commitment to educating girls and said school leadership does not want to alter existing admissions practices. But Fox News Digital received a letter from parents, alumni, and donors to Harpeth Hall calling for the resignation of officials involved in the policy. Quote, "We are writing you today as an expression of a belief that the Harpeth Hall Board of Trust and the school administration has been more focused on political activism than educating our girls." The letter obtained by Fox News Digital said current events are simply a symptom of that activism. The letter from parents, donors, and alumni went on to criticize the way the school handled the communication of the updated policy, saying it repeatedly seeks to divide us and to fragment us with one-way filtered Zoom calls in which you push only your message, failing to answer many important questions of your stakeholders. The authors of the letter also said the school did not provide a town hall forum, which was requested by more than 1,000 members of the Harpeth Hall community. This is the letter. We call for the resignation of members of the administration board who had been proponents or enablers of political activism and division. The letter continued, calling specifically for the departure of the board chair and executive committee, among others. We will withhold all. Wait a minute. This has got to hurt. We will withhold all financial contributions to the school until this action takes place. Oh, snap. Snap. The letter also stated that the authors will submit to the board the name of a female leader to be named the chair of the board effective immediately so that she can begin the process of reconstructing the school as a place of excellence. Wow. Look, they're losing all their funding until the board resigns. I think the board's going to resign, don't you think? So there's a copy of the letter here. Yeah, here it is. Oh, is this the... Okay, so exclusive. All girls Harpeth Hall Private School in Nashville has paused its new policy that would have allowed boys who identify as girls to apply. Well done by parents, alums, and students to stand up to this absurdity. Love it. So this is... Oh, that's the letter they got from the school. And then here's the letter from the parents. Well, there you go. And I think there's a video... Yeah, there's a video. Oh, is this a news report? I think so.
Watch the transgender community be persecuted in this way within our own state is increasingly disheartening.
Well, it's a stunning
Whoa.
backtrack.
Did she say, wait, whoa. What did she say? She said the transgender community was being attacked? What about this? Oh, God. When concern only goes one way, that's probably the bigger problem. Did you not take into consideration anybody else's feelings?
Watch the transgender community be persecuted in this way.
How are they being
within
persecuted?
Our own state, is increasingly disheartening.
Well, it's a stunning backtrack.
This cult is driving me insane. I'm sorry, it's a cult. It truly is a cult.
Hall has postponed its policy that would allow transgender girls born biologically male to attend their school. This after a wave of backlash following the original decision. Now, the private school held a Zoom meeting with alumni today. Kenley Hargett joins us.
Okay, this is having a little trouble with my. This is
in studio. Kenley, you actually spoke to someone who has pushed for a reversal.
Yes. There was controversy about that decision. The school sent out a statement saying they will postpone the policy, but now some parents believe they're making it difficult for transgender students to feel accepted.
So I'm highly disappointed.
Why? Why do you demand? This is insane. Making it hard for transgender people to feel accepted. Well, they're not in the school. Why do you need, look. It's hard. It becomes harder and harder for me to say that I accept that, trans people should be able to live their lives. But to demand that we join in their lives or their delusions, and I don't look. Most trans people, at least adult trans people, understand that the situation they're in and are adults about it to some extent, the ones that I know, and understand that their life is not for everybody. Just like people who go fishing, their lives not for everybody. Fishing enthusiasts can be just as annoying, but they don't demand that you go fishing with them or that they bring a fishing pole to your pool party. You know, it's like, come on.
So I'm highly disappointed in the school.
Erin Coleman is the proud parent
Yes,
of a
white
Harpeth
liberals.
Hall student. She's upset about the decision to postpone the policy that allows boys who identify as female to attend the school.
I was just so impressed that Harpeth Hall had taken this step. And now for them, within a matter of weeks, to backtrack.
Why is it so important for you to have your daughter go to school with a physiological male who identifies as a female? And are they now? Let's take bets. Hey, let's take a bet right now. So they're interviewing this parent who was supportive of this idea. One-on-one interview. Will they have an interview with someone who is against the idea, or will they just show people protesting? Put your bets in. One, they will have an interview of someone as just a simple interview of someone who is against the policy, explain their reasoning, just like this woman. Or two, will they only show protesting parents? Why does it seem that 90% of the time the transgender fanatics are liberal white women? Yes, they are. Oh, God, yes, it is. Almost always. It's almost always liberal white women. It's amazing. I don't understand it. You know. Okay, so anyway, one, they will have an interview like this of someone not doing protesting. They will have an interview so because this seems to be obviously a sympathetic interview of someone. Oh, this is so sad. I wish they would have this policy. It seems so unfair. Yada yada yada. And versus, will they have the same kind of interview with someone who's against this? I doubt it. All right.
I think is highly, highly discouraging.
Coleman says she is a descendant of Holocaust survivors and compares the school's decision.
Whoa. Talk about irrelevant. Is she going to compare this? She's comparing this to Holocaust survivors? What?
Of Holocaust survivors and compares the school's decision to postpone the policy as a step backwards in equality.
As the granddaughter
Oh my God. Oh my God.
of Holocaust survivors, my daughter who's at Harpeth Hall is named for my grandmother who is a survivor.
So what does that have to do?
Persecution in our direct
What
family history is
persecution?
something that really guides us as a family and has guided me for my entire life.
But an alumna also told me about the many alums who were outraged when the school made
maybe
the
they
policy.
will have someone talk.
They are now glad that
Nope.
it is paused. She sent me this statement that she received from the school on this decision. We recognize that this philosophy elicited strong reactions of support and opposition.
Elicited, sir. Learn how to speak.
Beyond our expectations. We care deeply about your feedback, and we have heard you. The Harpeth Hall Board of Trustees is choosing to pause the adoptions of the philosophy in order to engage a wider audience in continued discussion. For some advocates such as Coleman, they believe the school is moving in the wrong direction.
I was so impressed and so thankful.
Are you going to interview anybody else?
And I think that it's imperative that they go back to what they were saying.
I did reach out to the school, who is sending me a statement on the policy postponement, and we'll learn more about this later on and we'll update you. Alex?
So a private school in Tennessee, is she, I wonder, now here's what I'm curious about. So let's say they never allow this to happen. Hello, Pissed Off Shih Tzu, by the way. Let's say they never implement the policy that they were just talking about. Will that mother keep her daughter in that school? I'm curious. And why? I don't understand. I just don't understand. Anyway, all right, let's move on, because I'm going to try to get through all these today. This is another one. Oh, the president tweeted something over the weekend. He's very excited about the fact that Joe Biden tweeted out, whoever tweets for Joe Biden, because we know Joe Biden doesn't tweet. A record high. I wish by the way, I wish they had a requirement of whoever tweets on behalf of the president that you had to put a disclaimer at the bottom of who tweeted this for him. But he wrote, a record high 22 states have unemployment rates at or below 3%, and 14 have their lowest on record. And we're seeing progress in fighting inflation and lowering gas prices. No, you're not. What progress are you having on fighting inflation other than passing a bill that's going to cause way more inflation? I'm just saying, government spending does not lower inflation. I promise to build an economy from the bottom up and middle out. We are on the right track. Okay, so unemployment rates are back to where they were before the coup, right? So big deal, right? And so this guy makes a very good point. If the economy's doing so great, why do you insist on throwing trillions of dollars more at it? Oh, Spock, Mr. Spock, you are just too great there. So anyway, moving on. This is interesting. So the Yankees have a predicament regarding Paul O'Neill Day at Yankee Stadium. So I don't know, who is Yes? I'm sure it'll tell me who this is. So how the Yankees and Yes will try to salvage the awkwardness of Paul O'Neill Day. Now this is right up my alley since I'm surviving COVID. Hello, Damian Gershwin. What's up? How the Yankees will try to salvage the awkwardness of Paul O'Neill Day. Now this is a fascinating story. For the entire season, Paul O'Neill's appearances, Paul O'Neill's a former Yankee, now he's a Yankee broadcaster. Paul O'Neill's appearances on telecast of Yankee games have been slightly awkward, while the rest of Yes's, I don't know what is Yankees something. I don't know what Yes is. Yes must be the broadcasting arm of the New York Yankees. Oh, Yes is local ESPN in New York. Okay, thank you, Eddie Haskell. While the rest of Yes's announcers have been on site, the unvaccinated O'Neill has been working from his home in Cincinnati. O'Neill is not allowed in the Yes booth because the network has a vaccine mandate in the workplace, and according to the sources, O'Neill is not vaccinated against Stupid-19. MLB's protocols dissuade unvaccinated people from being on the field by disallowing contact with any players, and also prohibit anyone not vaccinated from entering dugouts and clubhouses. Apparently, they haven't got the new CDC guidance. So O'Neill is working from home. It is untraditional and odd. Even O'Neill's boss at Yes have said it's not ideal, though he is accepting of it and has complimented O'Neill's on-air performance. That brings us to a week from Sunday, which should be a truly special day at the stadium, when O'Neill is set to have his number 21 retired by the team. For his 9 seasons as a 300-hitting, 4-time World Series winner, there is, however, a bit of a cloud because of O'Neill's vaccination status. Like Yes, the Yankees are going to do their best to accommodate O'Neill while adhering to the rules. So there will be a slight awkwardness, as no current Yankees will be involved in the ceremony. Paul O'Neill Day will feature all of the traditional elements that fans have enjoyed during previous number retirement ceremonies, including the introduction of special guests on the Yankee Stadium infield, a montage of the center field video board, and the unveiling of the retired number 21 medallion in Monument Park. The Yankees said in a statement to the Post, O'Neill and his family will then join special guests in the infield, where he will receive a presentation of gifts, deliver a speech from the podium in front of the pitcher's mound, and throw out a ceremonial first pitch to a catcher at home plate. But wait, Wait a minute. Will that catcher be a Yankee catcher or just someone in general? Let's hope it all works out well. Yankees old-timers day was marred with no game played due to part to potential participants who were not vaccinated. So there's more than one former Yankee or current Yankee. Well, no, former Yankee is not vaccinated. While the Yankees would not say which former stars are scheduled to show up on August 21st, it would be fitting if Mariano Rivera, Jorge Posada, and heck, maybe even Derek Jeter graced the Bronx to see number 21 unveiled. The Yankees are doing their best to keep the status quo for the ceremony, but will have to make some concessions prior to the game. O'Neill will be allowed on the field because if the rules are followed, no current players will be out there, which means he's going to throw a first pitch to a non-current Yankee, I should say. But they will be able to watch from the dugout. Okay, for whatever reason. Anyway, that's good God. Why are they not up on current CDC guidelines? They're not following current CDC guidelines. They are using their own guidelines. They have made it up as they got along. And that is very sad. Okay, now, let's see. Shall we talk about, for whatever reason, that post is messed up. Now, let's go into this, we'll do last thing. Oh, this is the last one. I already did the armed father-daughter. All right, so now let's talk about gender-affirming care. Dr. Rachel Levine, who is what is Rachel Levine? Besides very frightening, the Assistant Secretary of Health. Note tweets prior to 3/26/21 were from previous federal officials. Okay, great, whatever. Dr. Rachel Levine over the weekend. YouTube told me guidelines are in fact not rules. Oh, well, that's true. I don't know. Dr. Levine tweeted out some opinions. Now, this is from, let's see, Dr. Levine said, I am so honored to join Senator Sarah E. McBride for an important roundtable with medical and direct service providers from Delaware to discuss their work supporting and empowering trans and LGBTQI plus youth and access to gender-affirming care services. So, like anorexic affirming care services, she is promoting gender-affirming care services. Now, she continued, or Dr. Levine, this person wearing the mask, wearing a dress, a skirt, says, gender-affirming care is medical care. It is mental health care. It is suicide prevention care. It improves quality of life, and it saves lives. It is based on decades of study. It is a well-established medical practice. Now, I could just stop there because the idea that is based on decades of study, it's suicide prevention care, it's mental health care. Is it really? It's a practice that some are using, but certainly there are certain things on there where I would have to just go, especially in the idea of decades of study and well-established medical practice. It's still pretty damn experimental right now. I got to be honest with you. So Dr. Levine continues, when our LGBTQI plus youth feel emotionally and physically safe and supported, it decreases their risk of depression. Well, actual studies have shown that it does nothing of a sort. Most of the suicide rate among people who transition happens after they transition, not before. And it's not usually due to whether or not they have support. But, hello, Cool Frog. And I want you to know that there's a place for you in America. You are brave, and this administration has your back. We will continue to advocate for the most vulnerable in our community. So, a couple people have responded to this. I wanted to go for more of the responses. A lot of people are having some problems with this statement by Dr. Levine. This is from August 19th, a few days ago. So this is someone named Shapeshifter. And I think this is important. Transgender healthcare sold me sex reassignment surgery that destroyed my genitals and gave me fistula. Society at large has never accepted and never will accept me as a woman. My sex is still male. After all I went through, I deeply regret my body modification. Detransitioners need mainstream exposure to raise awareness about the downsides of medical transition. Folks cannot seem to figure out the whole transgender healthcare thing out. Now that's a sad case there. Oh shoot, where are the rest of the replies? They moved it. I see what happened here. But there are some other significant replies to this that I just want to go highlight. This is from Ann KPSS. KPSS, if you ever see that behind someone's name, that stands for Keep Prison Single Sex. These are people who are trying to keep physiological males out of women's prisons. Tweets, puberty blockers cause permanent sexual dysfunction, which impedes quality of life, forming loving partnerships. Marcy Bowers, president-elect of WPATH, knows it. Now, this is fascinating because I saw this. I wanted to show this a while back. So, if you don't recognize, if you saw the movie What Is Woman by what's his name, Matt Walsh, you will recognize Dr. Marcy Bowers. Dr. Marcy Bowers is a transgender woman who is also a doctor who performs all types of transgender surgeries, including mastectomies and vaginoplasties, turning people's penile area into a designer vagina, right? So Anne says, puberty blockers cause permanent sexual dysfunction, which impedes quality of life, loving partnerships. Marcy Bowers, president-elect of WPATH. No, so this is Dr. Bowers on a Zoom call via Duke University. Listen to what Dr. Bowers says here, because it's interesting that because they make it sound like, oh, this is going to be great. No.
The second was an observation that I had that every single child or adolescent who was truly blocked at Tanner stage 2.
Talk about puberty blockers. So every child who went through puberty blockers, she says Tanner stage 2,
has never experienced orgasm.
Will never have an orgasm. Never experienced. Every single one.
I mean, it's really about zero. These are just assigned male at birth. So
They're just assigned male at birth. That's all. Just assigned male at birth.
And it's because they never in their lives are exposed to testosterone. That doesn't change. So blockers prevent the rise of testosterone, and they don't really go on testosterone at or around surgery or into adulthood. And so we don't know. They're going to have this sensation. There's no question about that. But are they going to be able to achieve sexual satisfaction? It's important in relationships. And I know that from my work with female genital mutilation survivors, that the lack of being able to be intimate with a partner is very important. And so this is what really raised the red flag for me, is to say, look, we need to have our eyes open about it. Mm-hmm. I think it's been beneficial talking about it. I know Joe and many others have reported to me, they've changed their approach a little bit in their informed consent models, and that we're talking about masturbation now. We're talking about, okay, that's an area of the body that's got very dysphoric for you, but you know what? It's all a penis is just a large clitoris. I mean, it's all the same material. It really is. Yeah. So
not in form and function, but they're just a big clitoris. That's because they're trying to. Now this is interesting because Marcy Bowers does these surgeries, and she is. It sounds like she's starting to discourage people to go through that surgery, and just live with their genitals they have, even though they feel like there's something else. Here's another one. Right. So well established that only a short time ago you completely refused to answer questions about it because you knew your answers would not be considered truthful or acceptable at confirmation. This was when Dr. Levine, whatever, however you say it, was going through their confirmation hearings, which was the first time an assistant secretary has ever had televised confirmation series, but whatever. Other people answering this original Dr. Levine tweet, though, well, one, you should be ashamed of yourself. That's Sydney Watson. I can't remember who that is. Is that Sydney Watson? No, that's somebody else. Watson's transgender. Now, this person also refers to Sweden and KPSS. I want the U.S. to provide the same quality health care as Sweden and Finland. They have severely restricted puberty blockers and stopped affirmation only. Instead, they focus on prevalent serious comorbidities of gender-distressed youths. Yeah. And then if you want to see the article on what happened in Finland and Sweden, there's an article here, a Substack article. I wonder if we should go through that. I have time. I'm not going to be anywhere. Well, we'll come back to that. Let's go back to this, though. Some of the here's one. Phalloplasty is an absolute disaster. I've tended several, and it shouldn't even be legal. The complications are horrific. Your crew sells this stuff as if it's easy and reversible, which is a blatant lie. That is true. There are not decades of study on the effects of, say, surgically transitioning minors. In fact, there are almost no quality studies at this point. I'll talk about this and related woke topics because so many prominent public-facing claims are just flat-out obvious lies. That's a good point. I don't know why this is doing this. I should just already have. I only want to see replies to this. There was one in particular that was near the top that I wanted to show. Oh, and it's based on no study. If you were actually qualified for the job you're in, you'd know that. There's nothing in the way of valid, repeatable research that proves anything you say here. If anything, emerging research proves the opposite, just more lies from a fraud in all ways. So anyway, there's a lot of people pushing back on Dr. Levine. But for whatever reason, it's almost part of a Democrat platform right now, or at least obviously liberal white women, to push this idea that all this stuff, oh yeah, they think on puberty blockers, it's reversible. That word reversible is the one that cracks me up. I see so many people touting the idea that puberty blockers are reversible. Well, they are reversible when they not necessarily reversible, but for example, the original use of the puberty blockers, one, they used it to chemically castrate sex offenders, but also people had early onset puberty. Okay, so someone who'd start going through puberty like at 8 or whatever, and they would use the puberty blockers to slow that process down until the normal puberty process was to arrive when they're around, 11, 12, 13, whatever, and then they would allow it to progress from then. And usually they were able to use them in a normal manner, right? The kid would progress through puberty in the normal time that everyone else normally goes through puberty. That's when they say it's reversible. It's not necessarily reversible. It just pauses puberty, right? But when they started doing it to kids older because of gender, gender issues, what they're finding out is that, it went too far. So if you ever, here's a good example. That show, whatever that show about jazz is, right? Because they made a celebrity out of this transgender, trans-identifying male named Jazz, right? Who believes that that they're a girl, right? Well, that happened with Jazz because they started the puberty blockers, and then the genitals didn't develop enough to have enough material to do surgery for I think it's called a vaginoplasty or something like that. And so that was a real problem because they did it too late in child development. It's not made, they have no research. And that's why in certain countries, they've stopped doing it. Sweden and Finland in particular. I'm going to go through that article. I want to see it, see what it says. Also, there's little evidence that medical transition decreases suicidality. I don't know if that's a word. In gender dysphoric children, there's little evidence that medical transition decreases suicide rates. There's little evidence to assert that puberty blockers are necessary to prevent suicide. So anyway, let's go to this article and then we'll get out of here. I'm going to check out what happened in Finland. So let's talk about this. All I have is Jimmy Jazz in my head. No, I Am Jazz. That's the show. Yeah, it's on one of those either Learning Channel or some shit, but they glorified this transgender kid and exploited it for money, basically. Now, what happened in Finland and Sweden? Can they help solve America's most vicious culture war? Earlier this year, as the U.S. culture war over trans kids was reaching full tilt, Sweden's National Board of Health and Welfare, NBHW, released new guidelines for treating young people with gender dysphoria, or what is increasingly called gender incongruence. That means puberty suppressants, cross-sex hormones, gender surgeries, often called gender-affirming care, to make one's body appear more like the opposite sexes, or increasingly with non-binary gender medicine, neither sex. They read, the NBHW deemed that the risk of puberty-suppressing treatment with GnRH analogs and gender-affirming hormonal treatment currently outweigh the possible benefits, and that the treatment should be offered only in exceptional cases. Finland's Council for Choices in Healthcare, COHERE, came to almost the exact same conclusion a year earlier, noting that through a translation, quote, the first-line intervention for gender variance during childhood and adolescent years is psychosocial support and, as necessary, gender explorative therapy and treatment for comorbid psychiatric disorders. And in light of available evidence, gender reassignment for minors is an experimental practice. Wait a minute. I thought Dr. Levine said it was standard practice for years. Gender reassignment medical interventions must be done with a great deal of caution, and no irreversible treatment should be initiated, Cohere wrote. These guidelines were in contrast to those proffered by the World Professional Association of Transgender Health, which is WPATH. That's what it stands for, it's kind of funny. An advocacy group made up of activists, academics, lawyers, medical and mental health care providers, which creates standards of care that many providers elect to follow. WPATH, which will soon issue its 8th iteration of its SOC, is lowering recommended ages for blockers, hormones, and surgeries. Great, with no research. And adding chapters on medicine for those with gender identities like non-binary or eunuch. WPATH did not respond to a request for comment. Meanwhile, in the U.S., much of the left, medical associations, and activist organizations like the ACLU are claiming doctors agree that gender-affirming medical interventions are life-saving. And Assistant Secretary of Health Rachel Levine asserted that there's medical consensus as to its benefits, despite some European countries claiming the opposite. Some activists and gender clinicians in the U.S. still find even WPATH too restrictive. In Sweden and Finland, the healthcare community itself was taking on this issue. But here in the U.S., it was playing out in legislators and courts, and science so politicized that it had become a moral rather than a medical issue. This summer alone, Republican Congressmen Jim Banks and Tom Cotton introduced the Protecting Minors from Medical Malpractice Act, which would allow minors who transition up to 30 years to sue for malpractice. California introduced SB 107, which would allow any child to come. Listen to this. This is California. This is California for you. SB 107, which would allow any child to come to California to medically transition without parental knowledge or consent. And I think they restricted to, age 13 and older. I don't know. Texas had investigated parents of trans kids for child abuse if they transitioned children Earlier, other parents had been investigated and some had lost custody of their kids for not transforming them. It's all over the board in the United States. In other words, the U.S. was going completely crazy over the issue of trans kids. Why, I wondered, were Sweden and Finland proceeding so differently without the political turmoil that has enveloped what is arguably America's most virulent culture war. What could they teach us? In mid-July, I spoke with Thomas Linden, director of the knowledge-based policy of healthcare at NBHW, that's in Sweden, over Zoom. He told me that their very first guidelines for treating people under 18 with gender dysphoria came only in 2015 after increasing awareness among healthcare professionals of the existence and needs of gender dysphoric youth. Over 18s have their own guidelines. At the time, the focus was very much about the rights issue and making visible the need for care in this group and to secure access to care which was not given evenly across all over the country, he said. There was still a lot of stigma around what had been previously called sex changes and a lack of knowledge about gender dysphoria. Those guidelines were broadly welcomed by activist groups, patients, and the medical community, Linden said, because they were at the first to make the visible need for care in a marginalized group. They allowed for puberty blockers and hormones, but urged clinicians to do long-term follow-up of patients who transitioned and to collect data so policies could be refined based on what they learned. But what they learned about the science and those partaking of it and what they didn't learn shifted their approach. Oh, so they actually have some clinical data to make their decisions by. The truth about in which they care about, because right now I don't think they care in the United States in some places. The 2015 guidelines were created with a certain cohort in mind. At the turn of the 21st century, the Dutch had designed a medical protocol for what was then called gender identity disorder based on a small group, majority male, who had long-lasting childhood onset gender dysphoria and didn't have other serious mental health issues. They seemed to fare well after medical transition in adolescence, but the methodology wasn't terribly reliable. By contrast, the young people who sought care at Swedish clinics after 2015 were increasingly teen girls with multiple psychiatric diagnoses, and way more of them suddenly appeared than ever before. It rose from 4 to 77 per 100,000 inhabitants. Linden said the guidelines were written for what we thought was a smaller group of patients and also more homogenous. The same trend was found in Finland, where clinicians first started providing medical treatments for gender dysphoric youth under 18 in 2011. This was due to both increasing awareness of the treatments proffered in the Netherlands and the UK and what Ritaker to Catalina Tenino, that's the name that I can't pronounce, chief psychiatrist in the Department of Adolescent Psychiatry of the Tampere University Hospital in Finland, called political pressure that children and adolescents also have access to these assessments. What? They based it on, excuse me, political pressure? Oh my goodness. Shocker. Not just adults. I'll just say Kalti. Kalti and her colleagues saw the same drastic increase in female adolescents with GD around 2015. Isn't that when the Tumblr boom came out? That's pretty much, isn't this all at the time of Tumblr? And all the girls started going on Tumblr and learning about, non-binary, and I'm this, and I'm not a girl, and this and that. I wonder if Tumblr was popular in Finland and Sweden. Anyway, the number of referrals skyrocketed. Kalti told me there were 5-fold more girls coming in. In addition, they seemed to not have an organic kind of gender dysphoria. Rather, they appeared to be very much influenced by other adolescents. Oh, that sounds like a social contagion. I know you're not supposed to say that. According to Vogue, 2015 was the year of trans visibility when Caitlyn Jenner appeared on the magazine. And just a year after Time declared there had been a transgender tipping point, it was also the year of the reality show I Am Jazz, about a young, socially and later medically transitioned trans girl debuted. Influenced by TV? How could that happen? According to Vogue, 2000... wait, did I just say that? Oh. It's unclear if this infusion of trans storylines into the media contributed to the shift, but whatever the cause, well, let me just stop there. Parents watch those shows too, and boy, oh boy, do they want to be famous. Sometimes they get a little bit of a, famous through their kids kind of thing idea, and then they go, oh, I'd be such a great parent if I was like Jazz's parents. I would be so special, and I would be seen in the community as such a upstanding parent that maybe I could see if my kid happens to be having these issues, and if they don't, maybe I could just ask them many times until maybe they just said, oh, well, maybe. But then again, we'll just let them spend a lot of time on Tumblr. Anyway, sorry, I went off case there. It's unclear if this infusion of trans storylines in the media contributed to the shift, but whatever the cause, young people showing up were nothing like the ones in the Dutch research. We were very astonished to find out that most of the adolescents who were referred to gender identity assessment, they had severe psychiatric problems, Kalta said. Thus, clinicians couldn't be sure whether those problems were symptoms of gender dysphoria or the source of it, since many had long histories of psychiatric problems and gender dysphoria had only developed as puberty approached. This is the cohort described in Dr. Lisa Littman's 2018 research paper called Parents Report of Adolescents and Young Adults Perceived to Show Signs of Rapid Onset Gender Dysphoria, ROGD, Rapid Onset Gender Dysphoria. Learn that one. A paper and a descriptor that activists and some healthcare providers in North America have worked tirelessly to discredit. WPATH took aim at it too. This cohort was also chronicled in Abigail Schreier's book, Irreversible Damage, the one that's been banned on Amazon. So contentious, it was briefly banned by Target. Oh, by Target, not Amazon. Despite being accurately reported. It was very well researched too. Yet in countries that have actually been keeping track of those seeking care, Canada, the UK, and Sweden and Finland among them, this emerging demographic has been clearly chronicled. So you see here in 2000, it was boys slightly more with this gender dysphoria. And, this is the era of Caitlyn Jenner and I Am Jazz, and so now more boys, but exponentially more girls. It's like skyrocketed. Social contagion, anyone? What's that? Is this the goth movement? Is this the emo movement? Is this the punk rockers? I don't know. If in America this ballooning group was seen as evidence of destigmatization of transgender people and medical interventions to service them, as well as a healthcare market growth opportunity, follow the money, for Swedish and Finnish clinicians, it was concerning, as Kalta wrote in a 2018 paper, quote, virtually nothing is known regarding adolescent onset GD, that would be the ROGD. In addition, she worried that delaying brain maturation with puberty suppressants would prevent the adolescent task of identity consolidation and could worsen mental health. Again, shocker. Hello, Asia Research Directorate. There's also a very high rate of autism among those with adolescent onset gender dysphoria. You have a rather severe autism spectrum disorder that has complicated childhood development. It was more complicated to find out about young person's competence to decide about treatment. Another medical shift in knowledge had occurred in both countries because regret was so low in the Dutch study. Many clinicians assumed that detransition, reverting back to living as one's natal sex to regret, was rare. But in Finland, young people who regret after top surgery have started to emerge, Kalta said. Regrets are not coming immediately. It's after 4 or 5 years maybe. One study showed that 76% of detransitioners didn't inform their clinics of dissatisfaction or regret, so there's no way to calculate the actual rate of detransition. We have a great blind spot there in that we don't know how many detransitioners are actually there are. Adding, he thinks it's more common than previously thought, but probably not pervasive. Now, that's just it. We don't have enough data because this is still pretty new. A recent small study in the UK showed that 10% detransition rate, and a Swedish series, Trans Train, which won the Swedish equivalent of the Pulitzer Prize this year, told the stories of detransitioners and regretters who felt rushed into treatment or realized later they were gay and gender nonconforming and shouldn't have changed their bodies. As Sweden's guidelines noted, although the prevalence of detransition is still unknown, the knowledge that it occurs and that gender confirming treatment thus may lead to a deteriorating of health and quality of life is important for the overall judgment and recommendations. That's the thing. That's probably not what they're telling them. They're saying, they're telling parents, this could prevent suicide. This will make them feel better. And yet they're finding that it's deteriorating people's health and quality of life in the long run, after 4 or 5 years, after 6 years, after 10 years. In the U.S., on the other hand, aside from a segment on 60 Minutes, the mainstream media has largely ignored or silenced detransitioners, with activist groups and even media outlets arguing that it's too dangerous to hear from them because it might affect access to medical interventions, cha-ching, and refuel, and God forbid, fuel Republican legislative attempts to delay them until after 18. God forbid you wait until after 18. Meanwhile, the treatments in Finland had been designed around the idea that some men and boys wanted to be women and girls and vice versa. But around 2015, Kalta said the landscape started to change to include new gender identities like non-binary or genderqueer and desires for a la carte interventions to match them. The same thing happened in Sweden, because that's Tumblr for you. There was no research on this cohort or on this kind of care. We were cautious to conclude that the gender reassignment interventions would be beneficial, Kalta. They were cautious to conclude that. Not that they were beneficial, but they were cautious to conclude that they were beneficial. Doctors were worried about intervening in the completely healthy functioning body when research on impacts on bone health and metabolic influence or sexual function haven't been fully researched. But Dr. Levine says that it's been years of study on this. Years of study. As Cohere's recommendations noted, quote, potential risk of GnRH therapy, that would be puberty blockers, include disruption in bone mineralization and as yet unknown effects on central nervous system. So it's not just blocking your puberty, it's blocking your finalizing of bone development. That's why so many people who went on puberty blockers are starting to have osteoporosis at a young age. And the central nervous system, it's fucking up your mind. They added that in trans girl, early pubertal suppression inhibits penile growth. That'd be physiological males. Inhibits penile growth, requiring the use of alternative sources of tissues, grafts, for a potentially future vaginoplasty. And the effect of pubertal suppression and cross-sex hormones on fertility is not yet known. Oh, it's not? You're sterilizing kids. Their kids are being sterilized because they think they're something. Individual doctors were under great pressure, Kalta said. Therefore, we asked this national body to evaluate the situation and create national guidelines. Not much more. We'll get there. Cohere began with a systematic review of literature of the safety and efficacy of treatments by a neutral expert panel. I don't know how they found one of those. Do you think you could find a neutral panel in the United States? I'm curious. They found that even studies of adult patients were of such low quality that it was impossible to claim medical and surgical reassignment improved psychiatric problems, and studies of children didn't clearly assert a correlation between medical interventions and improved mental function. After the evidence review, Kalta's team finished a paper which found that cross-sex hormones did not improve problems related to functioning, progression of developmental tasks of adolescence, and psychiatric symptoms. Scientific evidence for any interventions on minors with gender identity indication is actually zero, Calta told me. That is, there are more studies that show improvement from interventions, but they are so low quality, so low certainty, that they shouldn't be extrapolated from. In particular, a Dutch follow-up study, often cited as evidence for early hormonal interventions, actually compared people who already had good mental health, other than dysphoria, to a group whose mental health was so poor they were deemed ineligible for early intervention. Yet that group was also doing better at follow-up. Other studies were small and had short follow-ups, and none had been replicated. Yeah, you can't have a study that can't be replicated. Sweden's findings were similar. Both guidelines suggest therapy as the first-line treatment for gender dysphoria. We continue to lack really reliable scientific evidence concerning the efficacy and safety, Linden said. We have to have better knowledge. There was really no way to properly assess risk without more and better evidence. Thus, the focus of guidelines shifted to follow-up, caution, and patient safety with an emphasis on thorough assessment to minimize the risk of giving the wrong treatment. These treatments have been declared highly specialized care requiring permission from the NBHWs to conduct and will be done only in 3 national university hospitals, which will help with follow-up and data collection. Puberty blockers and cross-sex hormones should be administered with research context only. In both countries, medical interventions for gender dysphoria are not banned or completely discontinued. It's not stopping all treatments. It's that the puberty blocking and hormonal treatment should be offered only in exceptional cases. And this is our language to communicate more risk awareness to the clinicians, Linden said. But other healthcare measures such as psychosocial support, he added, should be available for all who need it. In Finland, for patients who fit the profile of participants in the Dutch study, after a prolonged period of evaluation and with a multidisciplinary team including a psychiatrist, psychologist, social worker, nurse, puberty blockers may be started near the onset of puberty and cross-sex hormones may be possible starting at age 16. Social transition for young people is not advised, but even for those with adolescent onset gender dysphoria, medical intervention isn't completely off the table. It's not that nobody can get it, but it's that there is more very intensive clinical evaluation taking place with the young person and their parents, Calta said. Assessments take place at 2 nationally centralized gender identity clinics, which also initiate any treatments and follow up the patients over the first years of gender identity-based treatment. Gender surgeries are offered only at one center. So they've absolutely cut this down to just the most extreme cases. Swedish healthcare providers are still tasked with destigmatizing people with gender dysphoria and the interventions they may want or need. This group of suffering people that need to be given attention. And if you don't offer them hormonal treatment or surgery, we have to care for them in other ways, Linden said, mostly through psychological assessment and therapy. Sweden's guidelines encourage clinicians to ensure that all young people suffering from gender dysphoria be taken seriously and confirmed in their gender identity, which, again, I get concerned about, but if there's a severe case, fine, but they're not doing the medical treatments, and that's where they go. I'm gonna, even though there's only a couple more paragraphs, I'm gonna stop there. The point being is they're starting to be a lot more careful in Sweden and Finland, and I don't know why that isn't rubbing off on the rest of the world, where you have someone like Rachel Devine going gung-ho on gender-affirming care. Wouldn't you rather, it almost seems like you'd rather have some gender-confirming care rather than gender-affirming care. You know what I mean? Maybe having a little more evaluation, more time, more just, rather, because right now, there are cases of states where kids can do it without their parents' permission, without with one evaluation, they can start putting people on hormones or puberty blockers without any gender confirming care. And when I say confirming, by the way, I don't mean that you make them confirm the gender that the sex that they are, although that might be a more healthy way to do it. But at least having a lot more time, talk, research, find out why they feel something different than what they are. I bet if you spent more time with a lot of these kids, there would be some alternative reasons why they're jumping on the bandwagon. You know, maybe seeing how many of their friends are doing it, how many of their teachers are encouraging it, how many people are using that word that rhymes with boomer, but grrr. It's just, it's a little scary, I gotta just say. I find it disrespectful Rachel Levine has that rank in the military just because it got that particular job. Yeah, that's pretty disheartening too. But, you know, what are you going to do? So anyway, guys, I'm going to call it a day. This is probably my longest show for a while. Well, since I haven't had a show for a while, I got to thank you guys for coming back. I'm going to try to be back here on the normal schedule tomorrow, 10 o'clock Eastern, 9 o'clock Central. Today was just because I slept in. I'm still trying to finish my recovery. Although in theory, I should be able to go back to work tomorrow because I've been out for 6 days. I feel good, never really bad, and I appreciate the well wishes that some of you gave me. If you're not, I do occasionally use that message thing, the community message thing. And so if you don't see my videos, sometimes you'll see those. Thanks for everyone who responded. And I know a lot of you've given me well wishes in other matters through other mediums. So I appreciate that. But again, I'll be back to my normal schedule and tomorrow, and we'll keep it going. By the way, my 900th episode's coming up. Now I'm kind of flailing on this. I don't even remember what it's called because I haven't been around for a while, but I want to do 10,000 by 1,000. I don't know. But I'm going to have some guests, a whole bunch of guests coming up, that some that I met at HotepCon. I know Rakita's going to come on. I'm going to have some various guests on the show over the next few weeks. And then I'm going to be on my vacation in Europe after that. So I don't know I haven't really decided how that's going to work when I go to Europe, because I'm going to be gone for like 11 days on a trip down the Danube with a friend of ours. So we'll figure that out. I'll post some content. I'm not sure if I'll do any live streams from there, but I will post content when I go. So anyway, ladies and gentlemen, that's it for today. I appreciate you being here. Before you go, please hit the like button if you haven't done so already. Share the stream before, during, after the show. Put a comment in the comment section if you're watching a replay. And if you want to sponsor the show, you can do that at pdognight.live, which is the Streamlabs link. What's weird is there was a donation over the weekend, and I can't find it. I think it was from Tyler Alexander. Thank you, Keeverdam, who says, happy 888th episode. Yep, it is the 888. And apparently there's something lucky about that. Let me check real quick. I will check because for whatever reason, it looked like I had a donation over the weekend, but I don't know what happened to the message. Let me see if it's sitting here in the old dashboard. Uno momento, por favor. Let's see. Chicago Mike. Oh, that's weird. It was, maybe it's just, well, I don't know what it was. Anyway, it was not there. Anyway, I got to go. We'll see you guys tomorrow. My name is P-Dog Knight, and I'm out of here. Bye, 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 bye. Have a great week. Have a great day. Hey, this is P
P-Dog Night. And thanks for watching today on the P-Dog Night channel. If you have an observation or remark you'd like to make about this video or my channel, I absolutely welcome you to write it in the comment section down below. I really look forward to hearing from you. And before you go, if you like what you saw but you're not already subscribed, please make sure you hit the subscribe button and definitely click that bell that pops up afterwards so you'll be notified when I post new videos or when we go live. I broadcast my live show, The Morning Night Live, Monday through Friday at 10 o'clock Eastern, 9 o'clock Central. A special thank you to all the supporters of this channel who share our videos on social media and who make donations through Streamlabs, YouTube, Venmo, and Cash App, which are all linked in the description down below. Thanks again, and until next time, I'm P-Dog Night, and I'm out of here.